Just sit down.
All right, good afternoon. It is September 16th, 2024 at 1 p.m. We're meeting with IAEP to do a demo of our GPS Samsara system. My name is Nikki Powell, HR Director.
I'm Tyler Davidson, Public Works and Fleet.
Debbie Bowers, Assistant County Administrator.
Christopher Stevens, Deputy Chief EMS.
Eric Gilmore, Public Safety.
Tamika Williams, Public Safety.
Kristen Hewell, Deputy County Attorney.
Chad Stone, IAP.
Donna Melvin, IAP.
And we're gonna turn it over to Tyler to just start his demo.
Okay, I'm gonna run through this, and after I get done, if y'all have any certain things I wanna look at, y'all just let me know. But basically, this is, when you enter the dashboard on Samsara, this is what EMS looks at. And so this is all the little green arrows means that that vehicle is actually in service and that it is moving. And you can see right here, you can see their active speeds. So for example, if you like, hey, you get a call in about a certain vehicle, the supervisor would actually go here. They would click that particular asset. And for example, you'll see on the diagnostics some of the stuff that we look at from a safety standpoint. Like the seat belt, it shows it's unbuckled at this time, but if you zoom in, the green dot means that the vehicle is on, but it's not moving. You can see that it shows the fuel levels, and this kind of gets more into the fleet side of things, but our fleet supervisor and fleet staff, they look at this if there's an issue going on with it, but that particular vehicle from a mechanical standpoint. But going to, this is the route that vehicle's done all day. So if someone needed to look at where that vehicle has actually went, they could actually click on the play trip and it'll start. And it's a play-by-play of what that vehicle's done all day long. And if you need to stop it, and like for example, you can zoom in to a certain location, and you can tell some of the GPS, the aerial footage, you can tell it's a hospital location there, but they were there for 11 minutes and 44 seconds. And that's something that we look at sometimes when we're doing just, hey, what's that vehicle been doing? Why was it there? And that's some of the stuff we do. So another thing, you can go to trip history. And if you wanted to zoom out, you can click or just put your mouse on these spots and it'll highlight that particular trip. And these are pretty much, unless there's something else that y'all are really wanting to look at, this is the main uses we use it for day to day.
The route, anytime throughout that, you can look at speed and all of that?
Yes.
Okay.
So for example, the quick way we can do it, go up to the top. Like you can see that particular, like you can just scroll through that day and it shows.
How often does that update? Like in intervals of, so you can see, because like if you have a certain area where maybe the speed limit drops for a quarter mile, half a mile, and you take 30 seconds to go through that, how often does that, because if you were doing, right before it, if you were doing 70 or 65 and then the next speed is 65 because the speed limit goes back up, does it show what you did in that section? Is it live every second? Okay.
Yes. Like the way this does, this is second by second.
Gotcha.
Live action, and I'll show you in a second.
Also shows you the speed limit as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
like you see.
It's real time unlike the other one. it did have a lag in the intervals.
Yeah, yeah.
You're absolutely right, I know what you're getting at.
Yeah.
This one's real time, this one's second for second.
Okay,
Like you see that right there where it says the 61, but the 45 mile per hour is the speed limit
yeah.
at the very top.
Oh, I see, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, you know, in more of the rural locations.
Don't worry about that one, y'all, let's just bypass that.
To answer your question, some of the rural locations, you know, where
Sorry. whoever
there
that
might
is.
not be a posted speed limit in some of those rural locations, but it, when you go through there, you see this right here that's in parentheses. That's the posted.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
And to that point, that you talk about real time, second for second, I know the old system, when you pass the on-ramps, speed limit for the on-ramp, and you're staying on 29, it would catch the on-ramp, say you're speeding.
Yeah.
The GPS is so tight that it's not catching on-ramps or any other side streets. The road you're on is where you're at, so understand it. We tested that too. It's not picking up on-ramps. You're on 29, so yeah.
And to add to what Eric said, when the supervisors get speeding alerts, they have the capability of going in there. They can say, hey, that's where he was pinged at. They're like, okay, it might have been right there by an on-ramp, off-ramp. Like I said, it's rare, but it does happen where they can excuse it on Samsara. And it'll still save in the system, but it was excused because it was, you know, it was not 100% correct.
At what point is it sending an alert to the supervisor? Because the old system, it didn't trigger anything until you were 20 for 2.
Right. So I'll let Todd, you've got
20 for
counted.
2, what do you mean?
It was, you had to be 20 miles an hour.
Oh,
over the
yeah,
Speed
yeah.
limit for 2 minutes before it actually pinged an alert to anybody.
It's the same setup.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that specifically, that Tyler had kind of set up the whole county generically, and I didn't know if that was the same parameter, so.
Yeah, I think we're actually, it's 24, I think it's actually 5 minutes now. And we've been tweaking that, but I mean, but, yeah, right now, I think it's for 5 minutes.
I'll say that in front of the risk management spots.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So I think the main concern also with this software is it has the capability for live feed of the cameras. Is that something that's coming, happening, intended?
Never,
Never.
never. I want to clear that up, never.
Okay.
It doesn't talk to any cameras, period. The safety vision, the onboard, the new Ford 360 vision, it doesn't talk to any of that stuff. That stuff is independent. There was one camera placed in a vehicle for testing, one camera. And that was in Torcell's vehicle, the SUV, back in the day. That was the only camera placed in there because it was being looked at. It's not something we went with. No other vehicle has a camera, audio. It can't record audio. It can't record video. There's no live stream. What you see is what you get. That is it. There is no in-camera.
The updated safety vision cameras,
Will not talk to this whatsoever.
are they operating under the same parameters as the old safety vision though?
We're not using safety vision.
What is it now?
We're not using anything.
We're not, no.
So like, you know, the old camera, if you like hit a.
Hard braking or
hard braking
turning.
or turning, whatever, it would
Yes,
activate the camera.
it would come on a record for a specific time, but that's still the old cameras. We're not updating anything. We haven't put anything in them, in the new trucks or anything. There is no safety vision in there.
We don't have the software to look at.
We don't have the software to look at it, yeah. And we can't even look at the old stuff.
Yeah.
We don't have the card readers, so
Cameras, right? They're cameras.
we,
Right, but
It's
takes a
obsolete.
specific- yeah,
it
it's
takes a
obsolete.
specific,
Software's out there, that we don't have the software.
and those things are now into life and obsolete.
Yeah.
Okay. Is
So-
there a plan to do something with those?
No, just, when they go away, they go away. When we either get rid of the truck or refurb the truck, right, with a new chassis, and that's it, so. But no, we don't, Tyler, correct me, there's no cameras in any of our stuff whatsoever, and Samsara does not talk to any camera, and there's no new safety vision in there.
That's correct. The one that he discussed when we first signed on with Samsara, that was a test trial, it's been deactivated. So-
There is that in the 360, the Fords has a recordable option, but we've not purchased the software. There's no, as Eric said, there's no plan to use that.
I think that was one of the major concerns with this software, is the capability to do that. We didn't know if it existed, or that was the intention.
So there are no recordings out there, there are no audio visible. We have the old safety vision still in place, but we can't read it, and the parameters for that thing to activate, if it does come on, is due to braking,
Whatever,
whatever.
the same stuff it was, yeah.
Yeah, but
Then
they-
sometimes they're flashing red and green, sometimes they're green, sometimes they're
And-
red.
Same stuff in policy. Hasn't changed.
Yeah, so so we can't even read those things now, so, but yeah, and there is no plans to put anything in any new vehicles or going forward, so. Other than the tracking and this, Samsara, what this shows, so.
What parameters are we utilizing this for disciplinary things? Because with this updated capability, that has changed the ability to see that obviously in real time.
And you're right, and the supervisor, we all, including me, from time to time, I pull it up and just have it monitoring and seeing what's going on. I'm not headhunting, nobody's headhunting or doing anything. Here lately, a lot of the calls have come in from civilians, that have said, hey, this unit number is doing this, or another crew member that said, hey, this unit is doing this. Nobody has used it as far as I'm aware of right now, recently. The supervisor's saying, aha, I got you. We're not doing that. That's what we're doing. They're just supposed to be watching. And I will tell you, there's some supervisors that watch this to see where they are in conjunction with dispatch and see if we're not crossing units. And so they're using this as a tool to see if we're dispatching appropriately and calling dispatch going, hey, I got this unit over here. So they're using it primarily right now for that, I'll be honest with you. We do have it pulled up. We are watching it. The parameters are set. We get alerts if it goes over. I haven't got an alert in a while.
And due to the increase in damage to county vehicles, which causes an increase to our insurance, increase, in the bottom line, the risk manager has set up some parameters that he is reviewing. We, in our office, do not issue discipline for that, but he will call the different departments and say, hey, I noticed this, can you check on it? So if he notices something, so he has his set to go off if it's over 30 miles an hour, and it's dinged like 3 times since he has set that up. That's an issue. So but again, we're not issuing the discipline for that. We're just reaching out to the department, hey, check on this, let us know.
That is a lot over the speed limit.
That is a lot over the speed limit,
It
but
is.
we are not issuing discipline for it.
No, I
We're
know,
reaching
but
out to the
somebody should
department
be.
to.
Even I'm not
Well,
that
yeah.
bad, I'm
Yeah, I'm gonna take a look at
In your own
it,
car,
but
right?
then-
Yeah.
But Mark works really closely with Tyler in compliance of the system. Is that 30 miles an hour over translates to Samsara? Let's have Samsara double check that. We may send somebody out in a vehicle to go drive that vehicle that fast and make sure that the speed is what it is. So we have areas that we can do that to double check that the Samsara is accurate.
Yeah, that's something we always do. If it appears, this is countywide, if it looks like it's gonna be a disciplinary action, I always call the software engineers at Samsara, and they verify everything, they send me back a report. So,
Because I think we're always looking for the consistency
Yep.
and making sure that the discipline is fair and equitable
So-
and that we're
so we're
not
not-
seeing huge differences.
Right. And we're
And
not,
that's across
we're
the
not
county,
headhunting,
not just-
we're not headhunting with it, is what I want to stress. It is being pulled up, it is being looked at, but it's not being used as a headhunting tool to wait for somebody to do something. And the flip side is it has saved some people, because the public has called in and said, your unit's doing this unit number so-and-so. Well, it was a damn lifeguard ambulance, or a MedStar, or a MedTrans, so, and that wasn't our unit, or even with all the other county departments.
Or the unit wasn't there in that location, or
And-
wasn't driving that.
Or wasn't
fast.
driving that day, so.
We get weekly lighthouse complaints,
Yeah.
that usually
A lot of
have,
departments.
yeah, information built in. I typically send it to the risk manager. He gets with Tyler, they verify, and 9 out of 10, are, but if one of those complaints does result in something, then we ask the department to handle it.
So I guess because it's always going to come back to the discipline and where we're falling on that, I
Mhm.
think. So supervisor sitting there looking at it, that truck hits 15 over for 2-3 minutes. Are we striking discipline on it?
Depends on the circumstance.
Right, what's the circumstances? That's a discussion that we had, so, honestly.
I mean,
Like I said,
I think that's where.
Somebody going emergency.
If you're going-
Well, no, we're talking non-emergency
Uh,
traffic. Like 15 is obviously within our parameters, but I mean, you hit that for 2 minutes. I mean, because obviously, depending on the supervisor, we're looking at a difference in opinion. One may overlook it, one may not. Like so, I think maybe looking at a policy or something that we can say this is the point at which we are doing discipline and what that's gonna look like in a progressive way.
County's already got one.
They, yes.
So we,
Nobody really knows about
Aren't
that.
you using the county one?
15 for lights and sirens, but there are parameters within that, and then county policy is.
For how long? I think there was a time frame that tied to that, right?
It says 5 miles over.
Okay. Okay.
But again, you know, with the, like, what the risk manager has set up is 30, it's not gonna ping him
Yeah.
until it's 30 miles an hour over. Now, he may see after 30, he may go to 20, he may go to 15 just to see, but that's more of a informational, I'm calling the department, I want the department to talk to their people, remind them that this policy exists. We've been going out doing supervisor training, again, remind your people that these policies exist, they are in place. It's not a headhunting, it's just a reminder of, you know, when he's making these phone calls, we are not issuing discipline for it out of our office by any means, but we're letting the department know, and then if the department does see an issue with it, it's up to them to handle it accordingly.
If I see you driving 15 miles an hour over speed limit, and it's a one-time issue, you're gonna have problems. But if you do it daily, right, probably gonna have a conversation.
Non-licensed.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And I think it breaks down like mild, moderate, and severe, whatever speeds too, I think, in levels. And so, I mean, I think that's where we're at with the discipline is, you know, one supervisor allows 5 over and the other doesn't, and then they write you up or you get suspended, or whatever, you know, like, it's just where, you know, well, I'll let them have 2 moderates before I say, you know, what's that's the biggest thing. It just needs to be the same across the board, and people need to know, not to say that okay, you're allowed to do 5 over, that's not what we're saying,
And I
but
think as
if
far
you're
as
going to get in trouble at a certain
HR is
level,
concerned,
who are
we
you working?
have been pretty consistent in what we do, how long you are going, you know, over, how fast you're going. We've been pretty consistent in, if something comes to us, we may turn it back to the department and say, we're not gonna sign off on this. We try to look at the consistency of what's been done in the past and what we're looking at now, what were the circumstances. I always ask what were the circumstances. So, like I said, they know don't bring me anything without bringing me the details, cause I wanna know what I'm signing off on. So we've been pretty consistent in if you're going, you know, again, we can't tell you to break the law, so. I don't wanna say that, but it's like 15 miles an hour over is kind of what we've looked at. You're not running lights and sirens, okay, you did it for this long, that may result in a write-up, right? But that's kind of what we're looking at. Obviously, I can't tell you, yeah, you can go 10 miles an hour over and it's not a problem, because then you're technically breaking the law, so I can't
Right.
say that, but we are being very consistent in how we're processing them downtown.
And I think that is good. I think the potential for the inconsistency comes from the Port Road supervisors.
But if it's gonna result in anything other than a letter of counseling, it has to come downtown.
Yes.
Does that still have to go through you?
Mm-hmm. Anything that.
But, and I think what I mean is that if there's no complaints and nobody knows anything and it's not pinging to downtown or anything like that, and this truck is consistently doing 9 over or something, and that supervisor is looking at it and doesn't say anything, but then potentially somebody else is doing 5 over and that supervisor may or may not like them or whatever, because there's nothing that's set in stone on how you're gonna discipline. They go, well, they went 5 over, I'm gonna write them a letter of counseling.
First thing I ask.
You know what I mean?
The
Like-
first thing I ask when they bring it to me is, what have you done for other people? It's the first thing I ask. And typically I will advise them, did you have a conversation with them? Right, follow it up with an email, and then go that way.
Yeah.
To avoid any misconceptions.
And I think that's where we would like to be, is that we're having conversations that are corrective in nature before we're getting to the more heavy-handed things.
Sure.
Well, I think there's also a misconception out there that everybody's thinking we're under the old Verizon, that they can, and at the 158 interval, I will let off the pedal, and then it'll reset, right? Oh, what are you talking about? I know the games. And then it'll reset, here we go again, but it is real time. So anyway, you know what I'm saying? So.
You act like you've been out down the road before.
I've never done that, I was talking about.
Never. Is there anything else you want to?
I don't think so. I mean, the other question you already answered as far as like the other things that Sam Sarah can do, if y'all aren't gonna go with those or there's no plan on, that's fine, 'cause you know, they can like, Sam Sarah can like look at your eyes.
Oh,
look
yeah.
at your open,
No, it
all
can-
that. I mean, yeah, that's Sam Sarah's, it'll literally, it'll start pinging in the truck, if it looks like your eyes
It'll
are
see
closed, and if you wear
if you're-
glasses,
I
it
don't
can
think
mess.
If you're going to
Lighting.
sleep, if you're sleepy or drowsy and all that, yeah, it'll
No,
read your,
it's literally like your eyes left the road for 2 seconds and it'll.
Yeah, like, oh, you're not looking at the road, I mean, it
Tell you to
can.
put your eyes back on the road. It's real, it can get a little creepy.
But if none of those things are going to be there, and you know, as far as in camera,
That's-
truck cameras and recordings isn't gonna be there, and it's just speed, I mean.
well, speed and
Talking about
diagnostics.
speed, I mean, I get it,
Yeah.
yeah.
Does not, location, speed and diagnostics is what we're getting out of it, so.
When the engine check light comes on,
Ah.
Yeah.
To show
That's a
Connor, we
little
can read
late.
that. So,
I saw that and
so
it
here's the
said
thing.
floor
So-
chores.
No, seriously, so that's a good question. So your engine check light comes on, you call Brandon. Brandon can remote into it and go, okay, it's not detrimental, keep driving. Or, oh crap, down the truck now.
Oh, I'm not
So-
supposed to keep driving anyway.
Well, he's gonna look it up and see what's going on with it. So when you trip a code, he can see what the code is.
Yeah, like on the sensor part right there,
that.
but that's where something would pop up that,
Oh, so you can read a code from it?
Yes.
without plugging
Yeah.
into
Yes.
a CDN, or-
and he can look at it and he can say, yeah, it's safe to keep driving, or yeah, you need to bring it in.
What about the ones where that check engine light's been on for 9 months?
Give us a number.
It wasn't detrimental, so just let it keep riding, so they know about it now. 8. Check 8.
Okay. It's gonna be the center truck, right?
No, it's a Century truck. The check engine light stays on.
Or active faults.
Oh, yeah. Huh. Nice. I don't think I've ever seen it off, to be honest with you.
And another thing that our fleet is, this is just FYI, that we do is Brandon, our fleet supervisor, he's able to, there's a feature in here that he can actually go in there and do maintenance logs and keep up with the fleet from a maintenance standpoint and have all those logs.
So y'all are switching and putting them in Samsara instead of key pass, whatever the other one's called? You
Little,
gotta do keys now?
little bit of both. There's some stuff this offers that kind of vice versa.
Okay.
And plus, this is available to the supervisors. They can click on it and they can say, oh, okay, this is due for a PM, whatever, yeah.
Have we noticed any reported issues with the fuel levels not matching?
I haven't.
'Cause we had, back when Mainline was still here, there was an issue where he had confronted a crew about their fuel level and that it was not below a quarter, and when he actually looked at it in the truck, it was. And I don't know if that ever,
I mean, we can look into it, but I haven't had any
I mean,
complaints on that.
that was
so.
a
That-
year ago,
that
right?
may
6,
been a
8, I mean,
one-off, obviously,
long
but-
time
Okay.
ago.
I didn't know if we were seeing any issues with there being any
None of
inconsistencies
it
there.
brought to my attention. And typically, when those things are brought to my attention, I turn immediately.
303,000 miles on it. 303,945 on that one. I'd say, 28 still running, and 28 still running, I think it's got like 340,000 miles on it.
I thought it was about like half a million. I was probably over 5.
Oh, maybe I was wrong on the 20, that says 137. That was 20.
Yeah, 137.
I don't have anything.
Yeah,
else, as
no, I
long
mean,
as,
if that's it, I mean, yeah, that's,
those were the major concerns that we had, so as long as it sounds like it's not going to come to fruition, so I think we're good.
Pretty cool.
yeah, I think that's it. I think so.
appreciate it. Absolutely.
Yep.
Close it out then. Thank you, guys. Thank you,
Thank you.
Tyler.
Yes, ma'am.